What's up, Basketball Brain fans and members? Listen, today I'm going to hit you with one of probably the most famous self-help quote that was ever written. It's by James Allen from a book called As a Man Thinketh. And this is the quote. "Man's mind may be likened to a garden, which may be intelligently cultivated or allowed to run wild. But whether cultivated or neglected, it must and will bring forth fruit. If no useful seeds are put into it, then an abundance of useless weeds will fall therein and will continue to produce their kind." Let's break down this quote line by line, sentence by sentence. It says, man's mind may be likened to a garden. What's a garden? It's something that is partly natural and partly created by human hands. So you plant seeds in a garden. Nature allows that garden to grow with the sunshine, the wind, and the rain. But you have to tend your garden. So your mind, it's natural, it produces thoughts, but you have to tend to it. You have to keep an eye on it. You have to make sure that the weeds are pulled. And that's what he says in the next phrase, which may be intelligently cultivated or allowed to run wild. If your mind on the basketball court or in anything you do isn't trained properly, it's going to produce average or normal human emotions. And if you look around, most people in the world are having a terrible time of things. They're in depression, they're anxious, they're not achieving at maximal levels, and they spend zero time training their mind. They spend zero time cultivating their garden. The next line says, whether cultivated or neglected, it must and will bring forth fruit. So he's saying whether or not you tend to it or you just let your mind go crazy, it's going to bring forth what it is. It's going to reproduce more of what it is. So if you don't tend to your mind, it's going to produce more weeds. It's going to produce more bad thoughts. However, if you start to cultivate good thoughts and good feelings and good emotions and good visions, your mind's going to start producing that sort of fruit. Indeed, he says, if no useful seeds are put into it, if no nice flowers are put into it, then an abundance of useless weeds will fall therein and will continue to produce their kind. So he's reiterating what he said in the first line, that if you don't put any good things into it, your garden can't grow any good things except weeds. And what mental training does is it starts to, every morning, and the people who've done the program know this, and those who listen, they know this, that every morning we're putting in, like one of the first things you do when you wake up is you're visualizing the ball swishing through the center of the hoop. And you're flooding your mind with that feeling. What's one of the best feelings on a basketball court? You know when you snap your wrist and the ball comes off your fingertips perfectly and it rotates and it splashes through the center of the hoop? That feeling you get kind of in the center of your chest. You feel confident, you feel good. We do that 100 times in the morning. First thing you do, 100 times in the morning, you program yourself with that. That produces flowers in your garden. It starts to remove the weeds. And it's a beautiful thing to watch somebody who had negative thinking, negative visions, negative feelings. These weeds start to pull the weeds and start to plant these beautiful flowers. Success is so much fun. It's so much more exhilarating than not achieving what you want to do. It's a life in which you wake up in the morning and everything feels bright and crisp. You ever have those mornings you wake up and everything feels perfect? That's what success feels like as you take control of your mind, as you start to work hard, as you start to work on your garden. My challenge for you is for the next 30 days, try to be as positive as you can. Try to plant as many positive seeds as you can throughout your life. When something good happens to you, assume it's going to keep happening and that it's going to spread. Okay? And if something bad happens to you, something you don't want, assume it's not going to spread and it's not permanent, it's just fleeting. So when something good happens, you think it's going to last and it's going to spread. And when something bad happens, you say, it was just a fluke and it's contained in this little one area of my life. If something great happens, let's say you get a date with a beautiful person, you say to yourself, that's not just indicative of my relationship life, it's going to spread to everything I do, and this pattern's going to continue. If you go ask somebody on a date and they say no, say, that was a fluke, and it's only contained right in that little small area. So that's what I want you to do. If you have a bad pickup game, if you have a great game, if you have, use that mindset. Start to cultivate flowers. You cultivate flowers by being enthusiastic and optimistic. Optimistic people take small little good things and they assume that's a sign that things are going to get better and better. And then bad things are just little blips on the radar, noise, something that doesn't really, it's like you're watching a great movie and there's a little blip in it. and it goes a little staticky for a second, then it's right back on. That's how they view bad things. That's how you start to cultivate your garden. If you really want to cultivate your garden, go to basketballbrain.com. Check it out. We have a $2.99 per month option, and in that, if you like these talks, I'm going to add unique content every week to the site that only members get. It'll be totally new. I think you'll really like it, and you can cancel anytime. So if you get bored with it, you don't want to do it, you hate me, you start to hate my voice, you can cancel, okay? So anyways, I really hope you think about that quote. I've pasted it below so you can look at it, read it, and think about your mind as a garden. Like really, really let that sink in, that your mind is a garden you have to tend to every day. If you let it go, it'll be overrun with weeds. It's a cliche in the self-help movement, but sometimes you got to stop, look at a cliche, shake it a little bit, and then see the truth in it again, right? You have to look at it. It became a cliche for a reason, because it's so true. This is basketballbrain.com. We're dedicated to your greatness.